The topic of this workshop is traditions 9 through 12. And I know it's a GRCNA because Donald and Jimmy are here. It doesn't start till I get to see them. And gratefully I walked in and they were both here. I'm like, wow. So Jimmy's going to start, then Donald will share next. And if time permits, we will open the floor for discussion. So with that, I give you Jimmy.
Jimmy, I'm at it.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, family. I got the book in front of me, but I usually don't read out of it, and I just go by what I was taught, and what was taught to me by the folks that was here before I got here. Tradition 9 says, NA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. That means that the group doesn't have to take the responsibility of doing anything but carrying the message. And that the committees that they form are directly responsible to the groups if we hold them accountable. And it's the group's responsibility to hold them accountable. That's what I was taught. I've been called a bunch of things for doing that as a GSR, but that was what the people that taught me what to do, taught me how to do it. If the group start doing H&I meetings, or if they start doing, I still call it PI work, then that takes away from the focus of carrying the message. I've tried to talk to a few folks about that lately, and they just brush me off like I don't know anything, but that's okay. They choose not to be a part of an area, so as a group, and I think that as a group, that's responsibility of becoming part of the we of this program. And reading over and what I was taught, that as a group, it's a responsibility to be a part of, because we teach the addict coming in the door to be a part of instead of apart from. And I've had this argument with some folks that have more clean time than me. When a group forms and is able to be a group, then I think it's their responsibility to become part of an area. To help carry the message all around, not just, we have to think about more than just us or what's best for me. We have to think, about what's best for the group, and then what's best for the area and the regions in the world. So we have to remember that the group not be organized. I mean, I've tried to carry that message because that's what was carried to me. And I've tried to teach some folks, and they do different things than I do, and that's okay. One guy, we just had to come to say we had to agree to disagree and not even talk about it anymore. But that's applying the principle of anonymity in this for me. It's because just because I think something's right doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that it's wrong, but it doesn't mean that it's right. And it has to come to a group thing. And I've been in a group where they wouldn't vote until I voted, so I wouldn't vote. because I was involved and I had the most clean time, so I wouldn't vote. I let them vote. I'm in a group today that there's some experience there, so I don't have to not do that today. But the night tradition goes back to lets the group be free to carry the message to the still suffering act, and doesn't put the burden on anything else except that, because that's what the group is supposed to do. And basically, it talked a lot about stuff in there, and it talked about anonymity does play a part in this tradition, because we are all the same, and we need to work together and not apart, not against each other, but work together. I've been part of that service committee, and I was that one that was sitting there arguing and raising hell, and I learned by experience that I didn't have to do that. That I could just share what I needed to share and leave it alone and not have to argue. For the best of us and the best for the fellowship as a whole. Tradition 10 says Narcotics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the NA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. The main thing that tradition means to me is that NA has no opinion on anything outside of NA. At all. We ain't pro, we ain't con, we ain't for, we ain't against. We don't, and I've seen churches want to use our name, say we have NA meetings here, and tell them no. I went to a new meeting, and the guy wanted to let the new meeting meet there for free and do this and do that, and I told him, you can't do that. He said, well, if I mention it to him one more time, he's going to tell us we can't meet there. I said, well, you just need to not meet there then. And the guy got mad at me and still having the meeting there. But, but we don't let anybody carry our name. I've seen treatment centers try. I've seen churches try. And it's hard to, especially for the newcomer walking in, that there's a meeting in a treatment center, it's hard for them to separate that. And as experienced members, we need to teach them that in a kind, gentle way. Not bust them out in the middle of a meeting, or not like they used to do when I got here. And but there's some people I can do that to, and it's okay. But there's some people that it ain't okay, and you have to learn the difference in them people, I think. But we have no opinion on anything else. NA's view, NA, the belief that we have of total abstinence from any drugs, isn't it? And spiritual paths that we say we can have in this fellowship isn't accepted in public eyes. Some of that, in some places, that isn't accepted. So it's a fine line there, but because everybody doesn't believe that total abstinence is the way to go, and us here know that's the only way to go. But the not endorsing anything, not when we go out and excuse me now. when we go out and do H&I meetings or do PI work, we have to be careful about what we say and the way we say it. We talk about what we do as a fellowship, what the fellowship offers, and what we're about, and that's all. We don't judge other fellowships. We don't do all that in public, you know. And as much as most folks don't want to realize they represent NA, every time you wear an NA t-shirt, you're representing NA. Whether you know it or not, or want to admit it or not, you're representing NA when you're wearing a NA t-shirt. So, you know, I was taught early on that if I had an NA t-shirt on, I need to behave accordingly. Because I am carrying NA. I mean, folks are looking at NA the way I'm acting if I got an NA t-shirt on. You know, they're judging me, you know, damn, he does all that and he's in NA. Well, we don't want to send nobody there. You know, so I try to act accordingly. I mean, today I try to act that way most time, but, you know, when I first got clean, I used to wear NA t-shirts all the time and everywhere I went. But I was taught then that, you know, if I'm aware of them, that I needed to act because I'm representing NA whether I want to or not. So we need to remember that, you know, when somebody says something to us in public, they might ask us something, you know, we just say what NA is. We don't talk about other things or anything else. Because I have been asked by some folks wearing an NA t-shirt that stopped me and said, what's that? You know, and I would tell them what it is, and that's all I'd say. And you know, that's, to me, I hear folks give this real elaborate stuff about traditions, but for me, it's just like steps are simple. I mean, they're really self-explanatory. You know, and we just need some guidelines to go by. And folks say, we ain't got no guidelines. Yeah, we do. They're right there. The traditions are why it works. You know, without them, it doesn't work. Tradition 11 that our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need to always maintain personal anonymity to the level of press, radio, and films. And that's, there again, it's self-explanatory. We don't go get on the radio and say, my name's Jimmy Goggins and I go to NA. You know, or I don't get on TV. And I've seen some celebrities do that. You know, and I said, I bite my tongue when they did that. You know, this, for me, this is where it's talking about personal anonymity, not letting, not bragging or not saying, look at me, here I am, this recovering addict, not pulling my own chain, not bragging on it, you know. And I mean, I understand. I got a sponsee that's just celebrated a year clean. He wants to tell everybody. Yeah, and but it's he's not trying to harm the fellowship. He does it because he wants everybody to get it, and I understand that. Yeah, he just celebrated last Saturday. His kids made everybody at the damn meeting cry. Yeah, but and tradition 12 that anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions that remind us to place principles before personalities. And for me, that anonymity is talking about the sameness. It ain't talking about I can't say I wasn't in a meeting. To me, it talks about that we're all the same, and that's what this is. The anonymity in this step is looking at is that we're all the same. We're all here for the same reasons, and we all need to work together. You know, so I've been in some discussions about that tradition too. And folks disagree with me, but, you know, I mean, it talks about it some in this and the basic text. And, you know, the unity, I think anonymity plays a part in all the steps because it's definitely a part of the unity. Unity is definitely part of the anonymity. You know, that we're all equal, that you know, Bob's got 30-some years. He ain't no better than that guy that just celebrated that year clean the other night, or the guy that walks in the meeting tonight. And that I ain't no less than anybody else either, because when I got here, I thought I was. You know, I looked at them folks that had 5 years clean and thought they were God, because there wasn't much more than 5 years around here. And you know, today I try to treat everybody equal. I try to welcome that newcomer when he walks in the door, and make him feel welcome, and make him feel a part of. I try to get him in chair a meeting. You know, I've seen some home groups that you got to have 2 years to chair a meeting. Give me 30 days. That's what I have when I chaired my first meeting. You know, and it made me feel a part of this fellowship. You know, and I didn't have a choice. This big black lady got in front of the door and said, "You gonna chair it?" I said, "No, I ain't." She said, "You ain't going. You gonna have to go through me if you leave." And I thanked her after that. But you know, she made me feel a part of it. And we don't see any color. And recovery doesn't see any color. It doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter if we green, purple, black, red, orange, white. It doesn't matter. I mean, you know, I used with the guy that lived under the bridge, and I used with doctors and lawyers. You know, so it don't choose. You know, so we're all here for the same reason, and that we're all just as equal as the other. You know, yeah, maybe I need somebody that's got more time than me to teach me how to get from where I'm at to where they're at. And that newcomer needs somebody to teach him how to get from where he's at to where I'm at. And that's what it's about. I mean, I see folks that I was talking to a guy that had 19 years clean, and I saw a guy with 3 days clean go up to him and ask him to sponsor him. He told him he wouldn't do it. He didn't sponsor newcomers.
Wow.
And me and him had a discussion after that. But I mean, it's just, to me, that was looking at differences, and that ain't what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to look at similarities. And that's what, for me, that's what this anonymity in the 12 tradition talks about and is about, is that we're looking at similarities, not differences, and that we need to help each other, because I don't never know who's going to be there for me, or who's going, when I need help, who's going to be there. And, you know, for me, the whole tradition thing is why we're here. And I try to explain that to newcomers when they come in, is that without traditions, we die as a fellowship. And then I'll talk to them after that about it. But, you know, I guess that's about all I got. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing.
Sharing.
My name's Donald, and I'm an addict.
Hey,
Hey, Donald.
And I'm super duper glad to be here. I'm hippopotamus happy to be a proud member of Narcotics Anonymous. And I would like to thank the GRCNA committee for giving me an opportunity to do this. I really love to participate in my recovery because I know it's really, really necessary. I was taught that if I wanted to keep this, I had to give it away. And you know, like, I hail from South Atlanta. My home group is the Back to Basics group of Narcotics Anonymous. We meet on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. at the Riverwood Hospital. And that's been my only home group since I've been here. I've been here for 20 years. And I don't say that to brag or boast. I know it's but by the grace of God, because I've only picked up one white chip. But I say that to give somebody else some hope, because some people think that you have to relapse to stay in this program. But that's not a requirement. The only requirement is a desire to stay clean. And I'm real grateful for that, because if I would have had to pay dues, make some promises, or pay a fee, I'd have been counted out. Because when I got here, I was on rock bottom. I had devastated my life. The disease had tore a hole in my back. So, you know, like, the way I got in touch with these traditions is I violated all of them. That's how I learned. But
Yeah.
really, I took the suggestions and got a sponsor. And my sponsor gave me his knowledge on it. And then by making meetings, I've learned how other people have shared their knowledge on them. And then I've had some experience with applying them in my life. And I was taught that the traditions were formulated for the groups, but they also work in my outside life. And they are formulated so that the groups can maintain structure and consistency. It's just like Jimmy said, they say what they mean and they mean what they say. They're very simple, but there are a lot of meanings between the lines. Because in Tradition 9 it says, NA as such ought never be organized. And what that is saying is that the group comes together in the business meeting and they come up with a format. And that means that we do not deviate from the format. Some people get in the group and they're the chairperson and they see a special person come in the room and they want to change the meeting from what the format says. See, we are strong-willed people. And the core of our disease is self-centeredness. We always want our way. But experience has shown us that our way ain't the way. Because that's how we got here. So, you know, like if we didn't have that kind of structure in the groups, we would be just like we were in the streets, in shooting galleries, in smoking galleries, you know, just acting any kind of way. So I've been taught that the traditions are just as important as the steps. They told me if I worked the steps and didn't work the traditions, I'd have half a program. I'd be just like a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. So, you know, I really value the traditions because really they put mannerisms back in my life. You know, I found out that when I violate one, I ramrod another one. So the ninth tradition is organized, which means having management and control. So that means that we can hold some structure in our meetings. And the 10th tradition says Narcotics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the NA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. And that tradition speaks of, we talk about recovery topics in our meetings. We don't share about religion. We don't share about politics. We talk about carrying the message because we're in the business of saving lives. Because it would be real crazy if we had an opinion on all the issues that happen in the world. It would defocus us from recovery. Because just look at what's happening in politics today. If we talked about that in our meetings, we would never hear some recovery. So, you know, we keep it real simple, and we carry the message, because that's our primary purpose, is to carry the message to the addict who stays clean. And when I got here, the traditions sound very foreign. I had to keep coming. I had to go to tradition meetings. In my area, there are not too many tradition meetings. And the meetings I go to, they really don't talk much about the traditions. So, you know, I had to get with my sponsor. I had to get with some people that was experienced with living the traditions. And I'm real grateful that I did. And I'm still open-minded to learning more about the traditions, because they really keep some structure in my life. The 11th tradition talks about our public relation policies based on attraction rather than promotion. We need to always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. And that tradition simply says that what Jimmy was talking about. When we are in the public and we got on GRCNA logo, maybe a T-shirt, or some people have keychains that hang down almost to their ankles. And some people have bumper stickers. Your whole car can be a bumper sticker. But no one person represents Narcotics Anonymous. It's like when we give a presentation to an institution or entity that we trying to carry a meeting into, no one person goes. It'd be two or more, because personal opinions get us in trouble. And we protect our last names for a special reason. That's so that all of us can come here and recover in peace. Because people in society thinks that once an addict, always an addict is true. But our program and our literature says that's a lie. You know, so I've learned to share my last name with people in my network. Because it would be a shame if I'm in the hospital and somebody come to look for me and they say, we looking for Donald. They say, Donald who? We say, all I know is Donald. So I've learned to have relationships here by living by these traditions. And doing so, people check on me. And when I need some help, people know who I am. But, you know, we don't break anonymity here. That's because all employees don't respect our program. Other people in society don't respect the process of recovery. Because most people don't really understand the process. They look at the negativity. They may see somebody coming to Narcotics Anonymous, stay clean for a while, and go back out and act crazy again. But they don't know the person that went back out were not living the program. Because when you live this program, you walk a certain narrow path. Because it's in our literature that never have we seen anybody relapse that lived the Narcotics Anonymous program. So, you know, our anonymity does need to be protected for certain reasons. And the 12th tradition is anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personality. And what that simply means is that anonymity is the state of bearing no names. That means that I can come to a meeting and I can share the message, but it's not okay for me to attach a name to it. And it also means that everybody in here is equal, spiritually equal. There are no degrees of addicts, because one person has more time than the other, it makes them no better. You know, I got some time in this program, but I ain't no better than the person that walk in here that's using. And that takes my ego out the way. I always need to do that, because like I just shared, the core of my disease is total self-centeredness. And this tradition also talks about, we've heard the phrase principles before personality so often that it's like a cliche. While we may disagree as individuals, the spiritual principles, anonymity, make us all equal members of the group. No member is greater than or less than any other member. The drive for personal gain in the areas of sex, property, and social positions, which brought us so much pain in the past, falls by the wayside when we adhere to the principle of anonymity. Anonymity is one of the basic elements of our recovery and prevails our traditions and our fellowship. It protects us from our own defects of character and renders personalities and their differences powerless. Anonymity in action makes it impossible for personality to become before principles. So, you know, this principle talks about placing principles before personalities. And, you know, bad examples of that are set up in our business meetings and in our committee meetings. Because I have been to some area meetings, and after I left the area meeting, I needed a meeting myself. Because we are strong-willed people. You know, we want our way. But when we practice these principles, or this principle of anonymity, it takes ego out the way. And it takes us to humility. And humility was defined to me by my sponsor as the ability to learn, to just stay open, to stay teachable. So, you know, that's just about what I got on the 9th through the 12th tradition. And I want to thank y'all for listening to me. I'm real glad to be here, and thank you for allowing me to share. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.